Hello and welcome back to Mount Borealis Zoo. We've got some apparently very excited people. What are they doing? What was that? Did you see what these guys were doing? What are they even looking at? Are they trying to look at the beavers from here? No, you're not trying to look at the beavers from here. Huh. Okay, I don't know what they were just doing. That was really odd. Anyway, jumping into the actual game here. So today we are going to be expanding on or finishing, I'm gonna say finishing, our little European French village situation that we've got going on here, basically filling in the rest of this area here and calling this theme in this area done for this zoo, which I'm super excited about. I essentially went on like a Google Street View tour of the little town that I've been using for inspiration for specifically for this most recent part, although this theme looks very similar to the previous theme. But yeah, so I've been going on a bit of a tour, and I do want to get away from this like really detailed wooden look a little bit. Like I feel like it's getting a little bit too overdone in this zoo. So I found a few other buildings in the same town that I think, you know, a bit of a different theme, a bit more with the brick and the kind of classic elements to it, and some of them that I think that we got from our new pack too, which I'm really excited to use some of those new pieces a little bit more as well. But I think it just it does sort of fit together. I think we need to maybe age these buildings a little bit as well. I'll probably do some detailing maybe off camera before we go to the real-time part to kind of age these a little bit too, just so that it kind of will fit in a little bit better with the new buildings that we're going to do that are more kind of brick and stone focused. But we got all those really cool new decals to like age these buildings and like add some stuff. I want to do it to this concrete along here as well, make it just look a little bit more realistic, but we'll do that a little bit afterwards. For now, it's going to be starting on focusing on those buildings. But actually, before we even jump into it, our poor seals are so stressed all the time. I will deal with that. But I also wanted to take a look at our animals because I just saw a notification for a beaver maturing, and I want to make sure that we don't have like people in here that we're not supposed to have in here. So yeah. Okay, so these are originals. I'm gonna throw these guys in the trade center for now. I know they're probably okay, but that way we can, you know, bring them back in here with a new female once these guys get too old or once they pass away. Those were our very original beavers still, so we have aging on, I think, 3 times slower, so they're not over-aging while we're doing building and stuff, and having to save up money, because obviously in this early game, there's a lot of just letting the game run while we make some money. But let's take a look at who we have for beavers, for reindeer as well, and it looks like, yeah, okay, so their cubs are their calves? Are they calves for reindeer? I think they might be. They're still juveniles, so that is totally okay. And I don't think our seals, I mean, the game hasn't been really running since the end of the last episode, so I don't think that they would have had any babies. Let's take a look. Yeah, they're not even pregnant yet. Obviously not, they're stressed out. Oh, and I wonder if that, I bet that water cleaner doesn't reach here. Okay, so I have a few things to do this episode. I'll need to add another water filter thing, probably into a building over here. Just because that way it'll reach both of these, probably. So I think that's about our issue right now, right? Yeah, is that this water filter only reaches this water, and we're gonna need to reach this water and this water. So we'll deal with that in the building today as well. Oh, poor guys. Okay, we won't let that go on too long before we fix it. I guess I could temporarily just put one in here, and then maybe we'll do that, and then I can always move it afterwards. I'm just so hesitant on like spending too much money right now. Oh boy, where are we? Oh no. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we can just stick it in here somewhere. Maybe if I turn it, it'll work. And make it like a 1 grid. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. It won't look great, or no. Okay, it doesn't even stick out. Perfect. And I don't know, it just barely makes it to the pathway. I'm sure nobody will notice for now. And our seals will have nice clean water, which is very important. Take care of our animals. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of building buildings. I'll probably do, you know, again, as typical, a couple big ones on camera. I actually, you know, this isn't a ton of space anyway. So to be honest with you, I think it's going to be like one big building here. And then, oh, it'll be a few buildings here. It'll be like a big one here, and then we'll probably like do a little bit of that same theme, or like light version of that same theme, just to fill out this area here as well. Oh, look at that mountain. I can't wait until we start to go up this mountain. It's coming up soon. It's coming up very soon, I think. We just need a lot of money to build a gondola. So a couple more animals, I think, and then we should be able to afford to go up that mountain, which I'm really excited about. I actually think that a lot of the new pieces that we got are going to lend very well to building a castle. So I am really excited to build a castle at the top of that mountain. It won't be giant, but kind of a cute little castle piece is what I'm looking for. So I think that'll be super fun. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I think our animals will get a little bit nicer or a little bit better once their water gets cleaned. That duck is still going crazy over in the corner there. I think I pointed that out at the end of last episode. It's still jumping around. But yeah, I think as it kind of goes dark here might be a good time. Oh, obviously I also don't have this as lit up as the other part. We'll work on lighting too. So yeah, anyway, I will let it become daylight. I think we have enough money saved up, so I will just jump right into the speed build. All right, here we go with another very long speed build. Although at this point, I feel like I keep saying that they're long speed builds, and then maybe they're just standard speed builds. This is just the new standard for how much building I'm going to do in every episode. So this took me ages, all of this together. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, we did that tiny part last time and it took me ages, and then I decided to do the entire rest of this episode, or this area, sorry, all in one episode. It was a lot. So this video, I mean, I don't know how many people actually watch these videos when they first come out. It is a little bit later than I would have normally liked to have these out, but you know, it's all for the quality. That's what we're aiming for here. So essentially what you're going to see me playing around with is, I think the correct term here, for quite a while, is creating kind of a more classic style building. I don't know if there's like a better term for this architecture, but essentially I've been using this specific city or it's probably not even a city, like town in France, for the inspiration for this entire area. They have like a little Venice area that had the waterfront and like those buildings that we did last episode, if you saw that. And I kind of just decided to, go around the city a little bit more. I wanted to change up the style. I didn't want to have just that one style of building all over this area. I thought that would be kind of boring. So I knew I wanted to change it up a little bit at least. So I decided to just Google Street View, wander around the city and see what other kind of buildings they had. And they had quite a few of these kind of like older style, like really cool classic buildings going on. So I thought, why not throw in a little bit of that, a little bit of a different style, and play around a little bit with trying to make it as close as I possibly could to this building that I was looking at on Google Street View. It definitely isn't very close to what I was looking at, but same sort of idea, I think. And I do like how they turned out. I think all of these buildings are kind of nice. So yeah, that is basically what I was going for here. But it took a lot of trial and error. This one specifically, the other buildings that I did were a little bit easier because I picked buildings that I knew I had the pieces for in this game, but I've never tried to build something like this before. So I actually wasn't super aware of like how limited the pieces were for this style. I thought there would be more than there actually was, but we made do. You just see me play around a lot with like all the different pieces and trying to figure out how big they were or how small they were, and all of that, because these are all brand new pieces for me. I've never used them before, so I do kind of like that. I mean, I know it's maybe not as exciting to watch somebody like really struggle to find the pieces that they're looking for, but it is very realistic. Like sometimes these, when you're learning and you're not an expert in this game or in the style that you're trying to build in, you have to be used to kind of, playing around a little bit and be willing to, try. I'd say out of all the buildings, we do a few buildings in this episode. This one probably took the longest, and it might not be even the best looking one, but definitely a good learning curve, I think. And really, I mean, it looks pretty good in the end, right? Like, I'd say that looks okay. So you can let me know in the comments what you think about all of that. I also, these stained glass pieces, just because they flashed up on the screen for a second there, we'll talk about them for a bit because I don't know, what am I supposed to talk about for 20 minutes? So I was looking at those and I thought they would maybe work in this build. They ended up not working in this build. I just couldn't really figure out a way to stick them in. But I do think that they're really cool, and I really want to get up the mountain. I know we'll do them a section at a time, and there is actually a bit of a money issue that you will notice in this episode as well. I'll talk about it when we get there, but I don't think we're going to be going up the mountain anytime soon. But I am so excited to play with those stained glass pieces because I do want to build a castle. I know that I want to build a castle, and I think that those stained glass pieces are going to be so nice. So nice in that castle. So that's what I'm going to save them for, I think. Is building that castle up the mountain because they remind me of castles. I don't know, maybe it's not, maybe that's not usually what castles look like, but you know, that's what it reminded me of anyway. So I'm really excited about that, but I don't think we're gonna quite get there yet because the zoo currently isn't making enough money. I don't know what I did differently in our last zoo. It seemed like we didn't really have the same money issues in the last zoo as we do in this one. Maybe I'm just trying to build too fast in this one. Maybe I did do more animal focused stuff at the beginning of the last zoo and I just forget by now. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to do some slightly smaller things, more animal focused for a little bit before we can get up there anyway, but that's okay. I'm not too, I'm sure you guys enjoy that part of it as well, right? That's why we watch franchise mode, not creative mode. That is definitely an aspect to this game that I don't know, there's something like, I don't make creative zoos, and I know a lot of people do, and like my content is very focused around the building part of things, but I don't know, there's something about it, I feel like it just takes away from this game for me. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it would be better, and maybe we would get like more views and stuff if we did work in creative and I just focused more on making things really pretty, but I don't know, that's just not really... It's not my favorite way to play this game. Maybe I'll get more into it a little bit later on, but I don't know. Right now, it's not my preferred, it's not my preferred way of playing this game. I enjoy the little bit of challenge that comes with having to save up enough money and getting all the, the animals and picking the correct animals and making our guests happy and all of that. So I think we'll stick with that for a while, but let me know what you think. If you think you might enjoy a creative zoo more than this, where like essentially I can just go all out and we just, spend an entire video, or maybe it's even a longer speed build on something a lot more intricate, or what have you. I don't know. You can kind of let me know what you think about that idea. As we sort of start to approach the 1,000 subscriber mark, I still don't think we're quite there at the point of this being released, but in a few videos I think we'll be celebrating the war there. Not that I have a big celebration planned, but you know what I mean. I think we'll be there in a few videos, so we'll see. I do kind of want to, I still want to be continuing on and like improving this channel over time. I have ideas, like I know when Prehistoric Kingdom comes out, I think the same people who are interested in Planet Zoo will be interested in that game. It's really hard actually as a creator. I don't think a lot of people know this, but the reason that kind of your favorite creators only ever play one game is because if I post another game on this channel, it actually doesn't really reach anybody, which is really strange. They basically kind of like, the way that the algorithm for YouTube works is they kind of silo you. They know that like, my Planet Zoo content does well for me, and therefore any new content might not do well, so they're not going to show it to anybody. It's a very strange, it's a strange kind of situation, but I know this game, I think maybe we'll still get updates this year, but obviously games don't last forever, so we'll need to kind of move forward and try to figure out something else to do as well, as time goes on. So I do want to check out Prehistoric Kingdom when it starts to come out. Right now I don't even have access to it because I don't have the kind of alpha access, but I know that's going to come out probably later this year, which will be fun. That'll add a little bit to our gameplay and stuff, but yeah, Planet Zoo. Maybe we get into more creative mode zoos. Who knows? We'll have to see. This is now the third zoo in our franchise, so I'm sure we could actually just do a few more. We could still get in a few more franchise zoos before we can really call our franchise complete anyway. And who knows, maybe we'll get some cool updates and then we can make some cool expansion packs, whatever it might be, and we can make some zoos focused around those. And that could be fun. But for now, we're focusing, of course, on this cold zoo. It's going to take us a while anyway to finish this. It's going to be a long zoo, so that is what it is. But yeah, anyway, we have moved on to this next building, which is kind of similar to that super classic building. It's just a little bit a little bit less, I would say. A lot more like just copy and paste, which made it a lot quicker. This was a very quick build to do, which I really liked. I think it's a good little, it looks good next to the other one. Uses some of the same pieces and the same, all of that. I think it just kind of fits in there really well. So here you can also see I've gone back to playing around with the depth in the walls. This was an easier one to do it with. The previous building, I was still kind of warming up and trying to get the pieces together and stuff, and this one I felt like I had a better idea of what I was doing. So I had no problem just like, you know, making the windows actually set in and the walls all different depths and stuff. I think this one looks a little bit better, even though it was much quicker to make. I think it just kind of, it works out. It looks a little bit better than the previous one does, but it's all good. These are all mostly just for show anyway. And then next to here, I decided there's going to be a couple of transition buildings. This is kind of the last building that ties in with that wooden beam look. Obviously, I wanted to make sure we didn't just go like classical buildings on one side of the street and then this style of building on the other side of the street. I wanted them to kind of, you know, make sense and go, you know, sort of next to each other, but in a sort of way that doesn't make them stick out so much. So there's two buildings here. That one just uses the same face as the yellow building. And this one was another one that I just took inspiration from a building that I saw on the same street, or literally across the street from that other building, that was a little bit more, it's obviously a bit more rundown and it's not really styled, but I figured, I mean, it still looks kind of nice, and I think I still made it look maybe even nicer than the one in the photo. So I figured, you know, it doesn't all have to be like super perfect and like beautiful buildings. Realistically, they're gonna look a little bit different here and there. So I thought this was a good transition, just to kind of to go between, you know, this style of building and that style of building and all of that. And yeah, I don't know. I think as a whole, we'll do the little tour at the end, obviously, like we always do. And I think it doesn't look too out of place. You can let me know if it does, but I think it all sort of flows together a little bit at least. Also, I will say, obviously, in this speed build, I'm just showing you the front of the buildings. You'll see in the real-time part, I do the back of the buildings. I don't just leave them as like weird stage props. They are actual buildings. I just decided I'd show you doing the front and then I'll just do the back on my own time because I'm sure these speed builds are already long enough. They do last a very long time as is, and they're, you know, there's plenty of talking going on here. You don't need to hear me speak for that long, so it's all good. And yeah, that's basically that. The little alleyways in between that building, but you know, we played around with some buildings connecting, some buildings not. All of that fun stuff. And then there is the bridge. So I think I talked about this previously, but essentially the idea here is that this bridge is going to be the main viewpoint for the penguin habitat, which is going to be back. The rest of this land area is going to be the penguin habitat. And this is the first time that I started to really struggle with paths. I don't know why. I thought putting all the paths on the same grid would be helpful, but then I don't think the terrain is perfectly level. So building the bridges and stuff gets all messed up. But I did this. I don't know why I kept this in, but it is what it is. It doesn't last long. Essentially trying to get rid of those black lines, I just had to like delete and replace the path all the way back to the end. And then in the end, it doesn't matter. I have to redo all of this because I forgot that you have to have the land come up to the bottom of the pathway, which I think you'll see me do here very shortly. Because I talked about this before, yet I forgot myself about how bad it is with the barriers. Like, it doesn't matter. I could put any kind of barrier under there. I could put a wall, I could put rocks, anything. The penguins will swim underneath it. I have no doubt anymore that in my game, at least, they will always swim through underwater barriers. So I will never use underwater barriers again. It will always be land. So I have to bring up the land underneath the bridge as well. But yeah, that's probably this is where I realized that I forgot to do that. So I need to get rid of all the pathways, make sure that they're attached to land, and that there's actually land going on there. That would be my biggest tip for anyone who, you know, when you build bridges or just any kind of aquatic habitats, like with swimming animals, always use land to connect them or to to block them. Never try using the underwater barriers. It's not worth it, in my experience. Maybe in some of your zoos they work fine. I don't know. Maybe it's just my zoo is a little bit weird, but it's happened in all my zoos. Like, it doesn't matter what zoo it is. If they can dive, they can swim through glass barriers, concrete walls, whatever you put under there. They can swim through it all. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, essentially here, I did include some of this. I don't think I included all of it. We will eventually here just jump to decorating the penguin habitat, because I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do the barriers for these habitats. I wanted to do it as minimal as possible, kind of keep the sight lines and make it not really look like the barriers were put in place, but eventually I just kind of gave in, and I used the concrete one you'll see all the way up to the mountains. Then I used the mountains as a natural barrier, and then the concrete one again between the penguin habitat and the seal habitat. So, I think they actually look okay. I mean, the barriers are fairly short. They're pretty far away from the guests, so with all of the foliage, which I realized I put in the wrong trees, and just kind of everything going on, I don't think they look too out of place. I think it kind of fits. So here I also cheated a little bit, if you call this cheating. I don't know how you feel about this, but I really, like, at this point, I knew I had to do so much more building. I didn't want to spend too much time on the habitats. So I just put in these little shelters that they're base game not base game blueprints, but like blueprints with the Arctic pack or whatever it is that the penguins came with. So yeah, I just used those. I don't know. I think I like them. I think they're cute. And it saved me quite a bit of time so that we can actually get to this next part, which is filling in this middle section here. That's actually something else, though, before we move on to this part, because this will go on for a little while, is I know that I have been kind of neglecting the habitats more. Like, I don't spend very much time decorating the habitats or like making the animals really cool things in their habitat and all of that. Would you like to see more of that? Let me know. If that's kind of like, if you're like, okay, I'm tired of you just building buildings all the time. I would love to see more habitat things and like unique things in the habitats and shelters and like actually lining the walls with rocks and and all of that fun stuff. Or do you enjoy what I'm building already? I think if you're watching and like watch consistently, you probably enjoy what I'm building already. But yeah, you can still let me know that feedback if there's, if maybe every so often you'd like to see habitat decorating instead of just guest stuff decorating. Let me know, because I would explore that a little bit. I'd say it's not immediately what I want to be doing, obviously. I'm just doing what I want to be doing, but it is something that I think I would want to get better at. So if you also want to see it, I think it'd be a good excuse for me to like get better at it. So let me know all of that. But yeah, anyway, taking a look at what we're doing here. So I took a bit of inspiration here from a restaurant that I found in the same little town. And it was super cute. It was a little bit smaller than it turns out to be here, but I know with the restaurants in the game and stuff, you want them to be a little bit bigger. So, but the aesthetic of the building and stuff is basically the same. And I really like how they decorated the interior, although the interior of this one is not done. So I also didn't really add the actual restaurant portion of it in here either, because it didn't really work with it didn't really work perfectly with everything that's going on. So I need to do a bit of my own research actually around how to build a restaurant, since the restaurants are so new. I've never actually seen somebody build one. And I want to watch a bit, see how other people are doing it, see what pieces are like best to making them nice, if the actual restaurant pieces are the best thing to use, or just the food stands, and like I can make it look like a restaurant in the inside with those. I don't know yet. So I'm going to do a little bit of my own research on that in the meantime, and then we'll have an episode. Probably not right away, because we definitely still need to keep up with the animals right now, although restaurants might be a good way to make money. But hopefully soon, one of these episodes is going to be making this restaurant and the restaurant in the Christmas Village, because I left some space for one in there, knowing that this update was coming. And obviously we never went back and built that restaurant yet, because this is kind of it's only like the second episode, I think, with the new update. So that is a plan. So I'm gonna kind of look into that a little bit. Let me know if you have any ideas that you think would be cool in terms of a restaurant, but I just need to do a little bit of my own due diligence there and make sure that I know how to actually build a restaurant in this game before I start building one. So you can look forward to that. That's what this building is going to be. But essentially, in the meantime, it's just building the structure of it, making sure the pathing works. I actually did spend quite a bit of time making sure paths worked in here because it was just something weird about the grid over here. It was my bad. I should have done the grid more properly, I guess. I must have messed it up. Like, our land isn't flat. So when I try to connect to like any of these grids and use the pathways on any of these grids, it's like it doesn't like how high the ground is or something. I don't really know. It was a little bit tricky, but we'll get there eventually. And yeah, I'm trying to make, I'm imagining a patio back here, because I know you can link seating now to restaurants. So I'd like them to have that seating in the back there where they can watch the seals while they sit and eat. And like through this restaurant's the only way that you can actually get back there. So ideally, people won't just walk through the restaurant to go and watch. You know, in real life, you'd have to like be at the restaurant to see from that angle, but obviously in this game, people are going to do whatever they want to do because you can't really control the guests in this game, can you? But yeah, anyway, that's kind of roughly the idea here. You might have noticed right there a little bit of a jump, and that was because I realized the restaurants only go like on one side of the building, the actual restaurant pieces. I just flipped this entire situation around to try to make it work, but then I decided not to put them in for now. There's a food stand and a drink stand in there, so we can still make that money while we're waiting to do the actual restaurant interiors, but it's just kind of temporary. And then, yeah, these last few buildings, also was looking at some reference images, and I kind of like how they turned out. I think they're nice. They're not as like flashy as the ones on the waterfront. Well, these are also kind of on the waterfront, but they're not as flashy as those ones that we did last episode. They're maybe a little bit more realistic, but they didn't take me too long to make. And I do still think they look kind of nice. Like, I think they fit in here really quite well. So I don't think there's too much left here on camera. It looks like the speed build is ending right away. So I did a lot of detailing off camera. So we will pretty soon here just jump into that, and I will do a full tour, make sure that you see kind of all the extra details that I put into these buildings. I would say detailing is never done, but yeah, we definitely improved them a little bit. So without any further ado, let's jump into that and see how they look. All right, and we are finally finished. So here is, look at that view. Okay, pretty wonderful. So right off the bat here, you are going to notice something different. So something that I actually forgot to mention during the speed build was I did take out a loan to finish the speed build. So we just weren't making enough money. I think we were still positive, it just wasn't happening fast enough and I was getting tired. So I just took out a loan to finish our building and stuff, and I figured we should probably throw in a couple more animals just to make sure that we don't have that money issue anymore. So between the speed build and right now, I threw in a couple of really quick habitats that I will walk you through while we're going through here as well. I mean, really, you didn't miss out on much. There's shelter here. So this is, first of all, the fallow deer. It's one of the new animals that we got with the Europe pack, and I think they are just absolutely adorable. They fit in here so well. They're not really taiga or Arctic animals, but they don't mind the cold, and I think they're still cute. So I whipped them up a really quick habitat here and copy and pasted this building from the front of our zoo just to kind of, tie that back a little bit, give them a little shelter. Maybe a bit of a waste of money, but I figured that would just be the quickest way to get them and get them happy and get these guests looking at them and giving us some money for them, and it seems to be working. It is pretty crowded over here. So that is our first animal, which is awesome. And this is what it looks like as you start to walk down the corridor here. So look at these buildings. I think they turned out really well. They look very realistic in some ways. Oh boy, and the chief, the heck. I was pretty positive that was not a solid wall, but I will fix that. I thought that was a window like this one. Very strange. Anyway, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, Chief Beef, busy as always, of course. But this is what it looks like from down here. Look at that. And here is the other thing that I added in off camera. So you can see here a little bit of maybe a little bit of precursor. I added a bunch of the Ibex signs here. But if you go through here, this building is not done on the inside. I think I'm going to do a full interior situation later, but over here we have the Ibex. Look at him climbing up to the very top. So their shelter is very boring right now. They have the food that they need, and they actually don't even need shelter or anything, so they're kind of okay. But I thought they'd look really cool up on this mountain here where they can climb a bunch and stuff, and they've got a long habitat as well, so you can see them everywhere. They immediately went negative after I kind of set up their habitat, so I think we'll get back up again, especially after we pay off our loan, and then I'll add some plants and stuff for them, but they're actually pretty happy with their habitat right now, so it is a-okay. They obviously need the enrichment and stuff, but for now, I think they'll help get more guests into the zoo, and we can probably even raise our ticket prices right now. I'm not sure. I haven't really checked yet, but we obviously need some trash cans up here too, because people are pigs. But anyway, as we move back over this way, here's what our little village area looks like, kind of from afar. So you can see that big classic building that we worked on at first. Inside of there is a bunch of staff rooms. It's not decorated on the inside or anything, but we've got, or not a bunch of staff rooms, I guess, but we have a keeper hut, we have the power there, and I might throw in a staff room on the other side there, just because I don't think we have enough staff rooms in this area for everybody, but that's okay for now. And then over here, we've got the penguins, so a bunch of people like to watch them from here, which I don't think is the best view. They're pretty far away, but you can see them over there. They've got a big habitat. I mean, they deserve a big habitat. We're gonna have a lot of penguins, so that'll be fine. This is kind of where you're supposed to view the penguins from. Look at them down there. So cute. Oh, he was like under the snow. I love the little baby penguins. They are just absolutely adorable. But yeah, there are the penguins, and then you turn the corner here, and here are the most recent buildings that we did. I added a bit of detailing to the bottom off camera here, as you can see. These I think will keep improving over time, like as we put in some more businesses here, we can add signs and all of that. It does look almost a little plain to me right now, but I think it'll work. I think it'll fit in here when like I kind of do a little bit of detailing over time. I just haven't really, I don't want to do too much of that detailing right now. Nicer to do it over time. But yeah, it looks like people are watching the penguins from here too. We got a little view into one of their habitats right there. They can't get all the way up to the barrier here. Maybe that would be better. I don't know. We'll see if they start complaining about the penguin habitat or not. I did notice people are still trying to look at the seal habitat from here. Oh, I don't know what this is. Is this a seal? Yeah, the seals are stressed out. They're still trying to look at the seals from here, so I don't know if I should just let them come all the way to the edge and just make this whole thing a viewing platform for the seals. Maybe that's the best way to do it. I just don't like how stressed out they're getting. So I don't really want guests to get closer, but maybe the guests will be quieter if they're like not trying so hard to see them. I don't really know. I'm not sure, but we are getting some complaints that they're hard to see, so we might have to do something like that. Or maybe I just need to give them some more shelter, because this is where they like to sleep, and it's like right in front of the guests. So maybe I just need to give them some space away from the guests a bit, and that'll stress them out less. I'll kind of work on that as well. But yeah, that's what, I mean, this part you kind of already saw. We already went through here. And then the backs of these buildings, obviously, I'll need to, when we do the restaurant and stuff, I'll fix up that patio and all of that. Oh, there's so much trash. I need to get another or another caretaker as well. But they're just, we're trying to save a little bit of money here, you know? It's tricky. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I think that's pretty much all of it. It's really coming together now, and I think this area can now be, you know, really marked off as done. We have 4 whole animals over here. I know it was a little bit of a shocker all of a sudden having 2 new animals in here without giving them the proper, you know, the proper care that or attention, I suppose, that they do deserve, but we'll check back in on them at the beginning of next episode. Hopefully we'll be making some money by then. I'll try to have this run for a while, and get us back up to like paying off the loan and starting to make some money before we move forward. I'll just, you know, let the zoo run and stuff, and we'll see where that takes us next episode. So as always, let me know in the comment section below what you think. How do you like the area that we've done? I'll just, you know, zoom in on this little area here since it is our most recent area. You know, what would you like to see next? We have a ton of really good ideas for this zoo already, but I'm always collecting your ideas. So, you know, as always, let me know. And yeah, what do you think? what's your favorite animal in the zoo so far? Maybe that's a good starter question. But either way, I will talk to you in the next episode.